Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. And if I haven't gotten a chance to say it to you yet, happy holidays. I hope you are having an amazing holiday. I'm so happy you're here. And today is not a theory session. So if you're joining us for the first time, we've spent the past 10 weeks, 10 weeks. So if you've been joining us over this journey, congratulations. For the past 10 weeks, we've really been working on building your business concept fully. And today's session is going to be around a culmination of that work. And we're kind of calling this a build session. So if you remember our very first session where I'm always saying, have a pen and paper or something to get your ideas down in front of you, this is one of those sessions as well. And over these past few weeks, we've really talked about systems, delivery, delegation, and the invisible parts of your business that determine whether you scale or stall. So today we're going to take all of that foundational work and bring it into something, more practical. So we're going to build an AI co-pilot trained on your business, right? Not generic, and not something you kind of hope will work, but we're going to focus on building real assistants that understand your workflows, tone, and task, and support you the way a strong team member would on your company. So by the end of today, you will know exactly what data to gather, how to structure it, and how to train an AI assistant that doesn't hallucinate, doesn't overstep, or create more chaos for you. So this is about scaling yourself, not working harder around that. So for anyone joining for the first time, a bit about who we are. We are Copper and Vine Studio. We're a strategy and systems design studio. So we exist for founders who want to build responsibly, sustainably, and at a level of excellence that matches the size of their vision. We work at the intersection of strategy, culture, and technology. And AI only really works when the foundation beneath it, the workflows, decisions and standards is strong. So that's exactly what we architect. So if you want to explore our frameworks, our founder tools, or our upcoming live sessions, you can scan the QR code on this slide. Everything we teach is built from real world experience working with high growth companies, venture backed teams, and messy in the middle founders who are scaling faster than their current systems allow them to. So a bit about me, I'm Rakia Finley. Nice to meet you. I'm a technologist. Some people consider me a coalition architect, and I'm also the founder of Copper and Vine Studio. So my background is in systems design and responsible innovation. So for 20 years and more, I've worked across government, AI, SaaS, digital health, and youth protection. And these industries I focus predominantly on producing clarity and structure where there usually isn't any. So everything I teach today is going to come from experience. It's going to come from experience of designing AI systems for scalability, safeguarding teams and users, and building infrastructure that carries real growth. So I've watched organizations break because they tried to automate chaos, and I've watched small teams scale because their systems were clean enough for AI to actually help them. So today I'm not teaching on gimmicks or shortcuts. We're really going to be learning how to build AI co-pilots that are trustworthy, accurate, and usable in the real world. Okay, so before we build your assistant, right, I want to ground in a real world example. We like to do that with every one of our calls. And what we're using for this cohort is Our Turn. So Our Turn is a wellness technology platform that we here at Copper and Vine built. So when we designed Our Turn's backend and delivery system, we intentionally built it to be AI assisted. So it's a completely AI assisted workflow at the foundation of the platform. And that allowed our turn to onboard more than 1,000 users with zero support tickets. Not because it had a massive support team either, but because the system was designed clearly enough for an AI assistant to triage questions, to guide users, and to support the team without adding chaos. So the lesson from our turn around this is simple. It's AI is not meant to save a messy system. AI is meant to amplify whatever system you already have. So if your workflows are clear, AI becomes powerful, right? And if your work system workflows are chaotic, AI is going to become unpredictable. So this is the most important truth of our entire workshop today. You cannot automate chaos. So if your workflows are unclear, undocumented, or inconsistent, your AI is going to produce unclear, undocumented, and inconsistent results. It's just going to do it faster than you would. So AI doesn't fix broken systems. AI learns from broken systems, right? So your co-pilot will only be as strong as the operational intelligence it has trained on. So before we add AI, we must architect the foundation it will learn from. So that's where we want to have clear workflows, defined decision points, consistent templates, measurable standards, and repeatable steps. So AI is not magic and it's not a multiplier. So whatever we give it, good or bad, it's going to multiply. So where does AI actually shine in this reality, right? So AI excels anywhere work is. So AI excels when work is repeatable, pattern driven, heavy on decision making, light on improvisation, measurable, and tied to documented outcomes. So that means that your co-pilot is meant to triage support requests, draft content from your templates, right? Summarize meeting notes, create first pass admin tasks, or even turn SOPs into step-by-step action plans. So here's the rule I want you to remember here as we start thinking about a custom AI co-pilot for yourself. If a task repeats more than twice a week, more than twice a week, your AI should touch it. So if a task repeats more than twice a week, your AI should touch it, right? It kind of rhymes. So this means AI doesn't replace your team. It means that AI clears the noise so your team can focus on the work that requires judgment, care, and relationship. Okay, so AI does the repetitive, and what I like to say is humans do the irreplaceable work, and AI does the repetitive work. So the mind shift here that we get to step into is that we're not teaching you how to use AI. I'm not teaching you how to use AI, but I'm teaching you how to train your AI. And you might hear that term a lot, train and AI training. So that's what we want to focus on. That's the heart of a great AI co-pilot. A custom AI assistant isn't really built from code. It's going to be built with clarity. So your AI becomes powerful when you teach it your rules, you teach it your tone, you teach it your decisions, and when you teach it your process. So most founders kind of underestimate this part a little bit. They think that AI is supposed to figure everything out on its own, and it's not. AI is an apprentice, not a mind reader. So you are the architect to your AI. You are the architect to your systems, your standards, and your wisdom becomes the blueprint of your AI co-pilot. So today we're going to kind of take that knowledge that you already have within your business. We talked about that in our last webinar on SOPs, right? And then we're going to double down on that and really think about the way that you talk, the way that you think, the way that you work, And we want to give it structure so your AI can operate with confidence and accuracy. So when you build AI responsibly, right? So we don't just throw data at it. That's how you don't. That's an irresponsible AI. It's just data thrown at it. So we want to create a blueprint within our AI Copilot that is a structure that makes the assistant reliable, safe, and aligned with your business. So your Copilot sits in 4 pillars. You have your knowledge base. So what the AI is allowed to know, that's FAQs, SOPs, templates, customer questions, internal guides, right? This is your assistance library. Second is decision rules, how it decides what to do. So this prevents improvisation and protects your standards, most importantly. It also identifies tone and style, how it should sound. So this will keep your brand consistent across every piece of communication. And then fourth of that is workflows, what it should actually do. So triage messages, summarize notes, draft emails, tag priorities, create tasks, right? Your AI will only be trustworthy if these 4 pillars are documented and taught, right? So we go from knowledge base, decision rules, tone and style, workflow. Workflow is action. So your AI can't help you if you don't understand your world that you want it to live in. The foundation layer of your AI defines what that assistant is allowed to know and how it makes decisions. So your knowledge base, this is going to include those FAQs, SOPs, email templates, sales scripts, onboarding flows, product explanations, customer definitions. And this is not ChatGPT guessing what it needs to do from your knowledge base. This is your AI pulling answers from your data, not the world's data, your data. Right. And then from there, we go decision rules. So these protect your operations. So, for example, if a customer mentions refund, use policy X, right? Or if priority is urgent, notify the manager immediately. If a question is unclear, ask for clarification before responding. These are those decision rules that you want to begin to get honest on. And because you don't want AI to make up rules, that's how we create additional chaos for ourselves. You want to teach your AI exactly how to interpret your world and how, and by doing this is how you create accuracy and safety as it creates on your behalf. So once your AI knows what to think, right, knowledge base and decision rules, then we teach it how to act. So that's going to begin to be tone and style. So your assistant should sound like a trusted member of your team. So if you think about a trusted member of your team, do you want that trusted member to be formal, friendly, concise, empowering, technical, right? So this matters more than people really realize, and it's where those outputs of your LLM start to matter. Tone is a part of your brand, right? How you communicate with your customers, your potential customers, your marketing, all of that is a part of your brand. So tone also builds trust between your customer journey. How that customer interacts with you from the very first time they hear about you all the way till they actually get to a human person, that entire journey is meant to build trust. And tone absolutely affects customer experience, right? Based off of that. And then from there, when we think about our workflows, your AI should never do one giant vague task. So one, you want to have tone that's not generic. You want to have tone that's close to you and your brand. And then you want to have workflows that aren't vague, right? But they don't do one giant thing, but instead they give it understands to do a small, repeatable task, right? So workflows can look like summarize meeting notes, one task, small, right? Draft a first pass email, tag messages for priority, answer a FAQ, turn this SOP into a step-by-step task list, triage customer support, extract action items from transcripts, right? AI handles micro tasks so you can focus on the meaningful work. So when we think about our workflows, it is a series of micro tasks connected together with a guardrail of tone and style. So when you talk about how your co-pilot plugs into your business safely and responsibly in alignment to those tasks, you start thinking about tools and integrations. So your assistant is meant to become exponentially more powerful than when it's connected to your Slack or your Notion or your Asana or your Gmail or your CRMs or your calendars. So it's not about replacing your tools. Some assumption is that an AI is meant to replace tools. It's about weaving AI through the systems you already use. Okay. And that is where you begin to support an automated flow that allows you to do less work and focus on putting your effort in more important places. And how you do that in a way that you have trust for your systems is through guardrails. So guardrails is kind of, everything you need to create a trustworthy AI. And a trustworthy AI isn't one that answers everything. A trustworthy AI is one that knows when not to answer. So guardrails include always ask for clarification when uncertain. That's a guardrail. Never generate financial promises. That's a guardrail. Never override our policy. Policy is in the knowledge library, right? Never override this policy in the knowledge base. Escalate when certain keywords appear. That's a guardrail. If you see urgent, escalate. And another one, only operate inside approved workflows, right? So follow this SOP. And if it's outside of this SOP, it's not an approved action item. I see a lot of founders who like to utilize AI rarely utilize guardrails. And what tends to happen beyond that is that AI goes beyond what is needed and it creates more chaos. And it reduces their ability to scale, in my opinion. So now that you understand that architecture, we're going to kind of walk through the same 4-step process we use when building co-pilots for our founders and our enterprise teams. So step 1 is gather and structure. So you're going to select the data that your co-pilot will learn from. This is your FAQs, your SOPs, your templates, your existing proposals, your workflows, those notes about your company or your product offering, right? And you're going to give it to it in a structured and clear format. It's not going to have to guess when it reads this library of information. It's going to be well structured. Then step 2, you're going to design the blueprint. You're going to define tone, define decision rules, define those boundaries, those guardrails, and design and define those tasks. Step 3, after we've done those 2 things, that's a lot of documentation and admin effort that you've done prior to us getting to step 3, right? Step 3, you should be at the point as a founder of, if I had time to read through all this documentation, I could do this job with my eyes closed. That's what step 1 and 2 are meant to create for you. And once you can kind of say that, you're going to give that eyes closed to your assistant. Step 3 is you're going to load your data, teach your rules, and set your workflows, and ideally create your Copilot prototype. And there's tons of systems out there. Feel free to message me or email me. Feel free to reach out to us if you would love some recommendations around a prototype. We have a QR code that can put you on my calendar, and I'll be happy to give you some direct. Because the tools that you use, I'll kind of as a tidbit, depend on what you're using your Copilot for. So a lot of people are just like, oh, I just like the interface of this tool. I like the output, but the output is dictated off of the prompt and it having a good knowledge base and guardrails. So that's not a really great way to measure a tool. But if you, depending on what you want that tool, that Copilot to do for you, then the utilization of different systems is what begins to matter. So if you need some recommendations there, I encourage you to schedule a call with us. We can find the right tool that we'd recommend for you. But when you have that tool, you start to build your assistant. And then now that we have a prototype, we go into step 4, which is test and refine. So we run a silent execution test to check accuracy of our Copilot, right? We want to check its safety, its tone, and its logic. Not just does it do the thing, that one task that I need it to do, which is why I built this Copilot in the first place. We want to understand that it really is the Copilot we were meant to create. This is the same process we use internally because it works. So by the end of this session, you'll kind of know exactly how to build a trustworthy working AI Copilot, not just one that's sitting in your ChatGPT profile. So a working prototype is not the finish line, right? A trustworthy AI assistant must pass inspection, your inspection. Before you let an assistant touch real workflows, it needs to prove 3 things, in my opinion. So first thing is, of course, accuracy. Your AI should be treated like an intern on day 1. So you're checking for factual accuracy, alignment with your policies, correct interpretation of rules, appropriate tone. And then a simple test is the silent work audit. You give the assistant task, but you compare its results to what a human expert would do. And if it can't match your standard consistently, it's not ready. Second is privacy considerations, one that tends to get missed quite often. And in my professional opinion, privacy should not be optional. Privacy is protection for your business, your idea, and yourself. So this means knowing what data can and cannot be exposed utilizing your Copilot. It means avoiding personally identifiable information unless your tools are compliant, or understanding how your platform stores and processes data, just having a stronger understanding of it, or ensuring that your assistant never reveals internal information out of context. So if the data would require a HIPAA level safeguard with a human involved, then your AI has to follow that same human guardrail. You don't get to bypass that guardrail. And then third to that is ethical guardrails. A reliable AI assistant knows what not to act. So you must explicitly teach your AI Copilot to never guess, right? You must teach it to ask for clarification when uncertain, and you should teach it how to escalate anything outside of its authority. AI becomes dangerous only when it improvises. So AI is trustworthy when it knows its limits. This inspection phase of what separates a fun prototype from a responsible high-level business tool is really key to you being able to say whether or not you're unlocking AI within your organization. And the principle here that we've kept throughout our entire cohort is even more honest when we look at it from the lens of real world of AI. AI does not break your systems. There's an assumption there. It reveals where your systems were already fragile. when your workflows are unclear, when decisions live in your head, when quality standards aren't documented, AI amplifies that complexity. But when your system is clear, when decisions are teachable, when outcomes are defined, AI amplifies your excellence. So this is why every step we've taken, the blueprint, the rules, the workflows, the testing, it's about reducing complexity before we automate anything. So AI doesn't fix chaos. Remember, it scales whatever you give it. So here's where the opportunity becomes exciting. The blueprint we build for our AI co-pilot is not limited to one assistant. Once you learn how to teach AI your decisions, and once you learn to teach it your decisions, you can replicate the framework across your entire business. So your AI can move from being a simple helper to becoming a strategic extension of your leadership. And how to evolve, right? Your co-pilot can kind of evolve into a sales assistant that's drafting outreach, triaging leads, answering FAQs, right? Or a support assistant, categorizing tickets, escalating high risk issues, responding within guardrails. Operations assistant, turning meeting notes into tasks, updating your systems, flagging bottlenecks. Marketing, right? Creating first drafts, generating content ideas, repurposing assets. You can also identify this as an onboarding assistant or HR assistant, guiding new hires through that training and those SOPs. It also, one of my favorites, can be a core business brain, especially for startups that are fundraising, going through due diligence, get investor questions a lot, right? Your structured data and decisions and rituals distilled into one scalable knowledge engine can allow that process of startup journey to go a lot easier. So this is the moment your business is meant to shift here, where you kind of stop asking, how do I keep up, or what do I need? And you really start designing systems that help your business grow even when you're resting. Your AI co-pilot is meant to fill that gap as you start building those assistants from that knowledge base, those guardrails, right, and those decision points. So if you've been with us, you know about Maya. Maya, we utilize as kind of an example of the clients that we have here at Copper and Vine. And she kind of encapsulates what we get to do and what we get to see differently out of the work we create. So we're going to bring back Maya. We're going to bring her back in our moment. And the truth is, right, before any founder builds an AI assistant, they tend to look exactly like this, right? Screens and tabs are everywhere, notifications everywhere, work is happening, nothing is flowing, there's always a bottleneck and a stopping point. Tasks tend to be piling up faster than you can clear them, right? Maya is struggling because she lacks talent. She doesn't have a big team, right? That's what it also can look like. It might look like struggle because you just lack a second brain. You just need a little bit more brain capacity. And all these things could help, something that could help her triage, right? Draft, summarize, prep the work that was stealing her time. At this moment, AI couldn't magically solve this for her. She had to teach AI to solve these problems, right? So let's walk through the steps that Maya had to take on. So step one, right? The first mistake founders make tend to be when they're building their AI assistant is they feed it too much or they feed it the wrong things. So first, Maya is going to start with only the assets that represent her standards. So her real FAQs that have the real answers that she aligns with. Her real support scripts, the ones that we did a great job on those. We really solved the problem. Her email templates that really landed and worked well. Her SOPs that have been successful in creating results, and customer notes and customer feedbacks and common patterns that she wants to see replicated. She wants to see success continue to take place in that exact way. Not every document that is within that startup, within this existing business structure, is meant to showcase itself to our AI. We want our AI to utilize the cleanest, best, and most appropriate data. Only the ones that show how we think, how we decide, and what good and what success looks like. So the lesson here is kind of simple, right? AI can only become as strong as the examples you teach it. So your assistant learns from your real work, not your theory work. So you're going to leave your theory work to yourself. So AI does not learn from clutter. And we've talked in some of our past sessions around what you can do as a founder to reduce clutter. AI learns from clarity. So having clarity puts you in a stronger foundation to have effective AI. So Maya grouped her inputs into functional categories, right? She started with purpose. Why does this asset exist? Decision points. What choice do I consistently make? Customer stage. Where in the journey is this thing used? And tone and voice. How does communication take place? How do we communicate care, urgency, or boundaries through our existing assets? So this is where raw data transformed into a structured, teachable knowledge base starts producing results. This is the universal truth in most systems design. Order creates intelligence. So the more intentional your structure is, the smarter your AI becomes. So a great assistant doesn't come from a clever prompt. Instagram and TikTok will have you assume that all you're missing is the best prompt in the world and you'll find it one day. That's not true. Good AI assistant comes from clear rules. So if we think about Maya, Maya's going to build what I call a role system prompt. It's a single place where she'll define who the assistant is, what it handles, what it never does, when to escalate, what tone to use, how to interpret customer emotions, and what questions to ask before taking action. So this was her values, her operational standards, her judgment distilled into instruction, right? We talked about this in our previous weeks around the power of culture on paper. If you take the time to put it on paper, your culture will naturally weave through. Even an AI can pick up on your culture. So we're not trying to make our AI clever. We're not trying to make it better than someone else's. We want to make it reliable. And reliable assistants don't guess. Reliable assistants tend to follow strong rules. So we want to focus on mapping ideal workflows that feel honest, right? We don't want to give our AI one giant job. That's where most founders go wrong. We don't want to say like handle customer support, make customer support awesome, answer every email that comes through this email with a answer from us, right? And because what that tends to do is you're just going to feel disappointed when the output is messy. So we want to do the opposite. When we look at Maya, Maya's going to we're going to break support into predictable micro flows. So we want to focus on intake, then we want to categorize, then we draft, then we review. So we're going to give our assistant a sequence, not a wish. So by mapping workflows, we're going to ensure that AI knows what step comes next. We're going to ensure that we, as the human, can review work at the right checkpoints before it moves on. We want to create quality gates that will continue to exist at all times. And we want to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. So the AI is not meant to replace that workflow, right? It's meant to run the workflow that you design on behalf of your business. And that's how you're going to kind of move into a hyper level of intelligence. So once we have our clear workflows, now we need to bridge. We need to create a AI bridge, a way to connect to the tools that we're already using. So Maya's going to link her assistant to her CRM, her inbox, her task board. She's going to use Asana and ClickUp, her knowledge base, that's out of her Notion, and she's going to connect her support inbox. You can kind of, based off of that, assume what kind of AI assistant she's making. So we're not focused on complicated engineering here. We just took the effective steps we needed to take to get to this point. But through simple integrations that allowed AI to read what it needed to read and draft what she wanted, the goal wasn't to replace tools, it was to remove manual transfers between them. And once everything was connected, her assistant stopped being an experiment, right? Our AI stopped just being things that we like to play with from time to time, but they start becoming real partners, right? So we want to move from now my co-pilot is just here to my co-pilot can execute, not just help me. Okay, and then from there, we focus on guardrails. So this is where we ensure our AI is trustworthy before it ever becomes scalable. So because a powerful assistant is powerful, without boundaries, it's liable, right? There's a lot of liability there. So we want to train our co-pilot on whatever to do and then help it understand what it can't. So guardrails include things like ask clarifying questions if unclear. That's one guardrail prompt. Or another one could be never guess numbers or make financial promises or flag anything sensitive or mirror approved tone and style only. Do nothing else beyond this tone and style. These guardrails act like bumpers kind of in a bowling lane. So it's not restricting the AI, but it's keeping it safe, it's keeping it predictable, and it's aligning it to standards. And this is what the difference between AI that works and an AI you can trust is, right? So this moment of creating, we just walked through the steps of what it looks like to begin the journey of creating your AI co-pilot. And that moment matters more than anything because, when we think about Maya and her going through those steps, we really want to think about the fact that Maya handed real work over to her assistant, not experimented prompts, not things we got to copy and paste and move over and over and back and forth, not playground tasks, but real responsibility with clear boundaries, a step-by-step workflow, and a defined outcome. And when we identify that, we get to notice what happens differently from there. Usually, we're not giving the AI the hardest work, but we're giving it the repeatable work. That's the shift that usually happens. So, preparing summaries, drafting emails, categorizing issues, generating first versions, turning SOP steps into action items. That's repeatable work that we now no longer do. And these are the tasks that tend to eat away at founders every day. Not because they're difficult, but because they're constant. So you always have it to do. And delegating, right? It's really, really hard to delegate your magic, but it's really easy to delegate maintenance. So that's how we get to reclaim our time. Sometimes AI can make us feel like we're meant to delegate magic. Let's try delegating our maintenance. So from there, we get to look at what on the other side of this work looks like through Maya. So Maya here, same founder, same product, same mission. But what changed was her operating system. She now has a co-pilot that drafts before she thinks, a workflow that runs the same way every time in a way that she would want to see it done, a support process that never loses context, a knowledge base that improves every week, right? As we create output. It fuels our knowledge base. And guardrails that protect our customers and advance our brand. Now, the biggest shift that we tend to see at this point here is, you know, the founder is no longer the system. The founder moves and becomes the architect of the system, which advances a business, right? AI begins to become the executor. And you start seeing workflows connect with one another rather than being siloed. So Maya's workflows are connected, her AI is executing, her quality gates are protected, her time has been expanded. This is the exact transformation that an AI co-pilot is meant to create, where you're going to stop doing the work and start designing how the work gets done. So when your business stops growing by effort, what gets to happen is it starts growing by intelligence. So everything we covered today becomes real when you put it into motion. So now that you understand the architecture behind a trustworthy AI assistant, it's time to really turn the insight into implementation. So your homework is simple this week, and it's powerful in my opinion. You're going to gather your real inputs. You're going to gather the FAQs you love, gather the email templates that work, the SOPs that align, the one small workflow that you need support on. That's your homework today. Those are your action items: FAQ, email, SOP, and that workflow that you would really love to see AI tackle. And we're not focused on hypothetical exercises. We're really thinking about your existing business growth structure, what you're tackling day to day now. These are the ingredients that your co-pilot will actually learn from. And then you get to remember that AI doesn't learn from your ideas. It learns from your examples. So that gets to also be a part of your journey. Awesome. So do the homework. Feel free to bring the pieces to the next session. And I look forward to helping you kind of assemble your working prototype. So to close today, I want to anchor in the 4 truths that matter most as you build your co-pilot. AI doesn't replace you. It scales your best decisions. Your judgment becomes teachable. Your patterns become reusable. Structure beats speed. Clarity is foundation. So if your workflows are unclear, your assistant will be unclear. And then good prompts are built on good systems. A prompt is not magic, it's a mirror. It reflects how well your work is organized. So automate and finally is automate the repeatable, humanize the relational. So AI should lift the weight, not replace the connection. So these principles are really the backbone of a responsible AI-enabled business. And when you honor them, your co-pilot becomes an accelerator, which is what we like to see. So if today's workshop opened your eyes to what's possible and you want deeper support building an operational backbone, your AI assistant, or your integrated business stack, here's how we can help. Copper and Vine is a strategy and systems design studio. We work across government, tech, digital health, and high growth startups to build infrastructure that scales responsibly. And our work is founder centered, outcome driven, and compliance first. If you are ready for hands-on help building your co-pilot or your entire operating system or your product, just scan the QR code and I'd love to walk you through and be a support in any way. So next week, we take everything you've built today and we get to expand upon it. We're going to move from assistant to infrastructure. In week 11, we'll walk through building your AI business stack, choosing those tools that integrate with your systems. So you're going to learn which tools actually work together, how to avoid fragmented tech, how to evaluate AI native versus AI enhanced platforms, how to create a stack that grows with your company, not against it. So this is where your co-pilot stops being a standalone tool and starts becoming a part of your operational engine. So don't skip next week. It's a session that I think is really meant to shape every system you build going forward. And as always, I want to leave you with my favorite truth. You have permission to lead a big idea. You have permission to build systems that support your brilliance, that don't drain you. You have permission to grow in a way that is ethical, that is human, that is sustainable, and in alignment with your values. Scaling isn't about becoming someone new. It's about building an infrastructure strong enough to carry the person and vision you already are. So you're allowed to build something extraordinary, and I look forward to being a resource to help you do that. Thank you so much for your presence, your curiosity. Thanks for your commitment to building. You showed up for yourself today on behalf of this Founders Challenge and going into the new year. I'm really proud of you for your vision and for the people you plan to impact. Until next week, go build with intention, go delegate with confidence, and most of all, go be great. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Thanks so much.